They broke up on a Tuesday, which felt unfair. Tuesdays were ordinary days, meant for unfinished coffee and unread messages, not endings. Rain pressed softly against the windows, the kind that didn't storm or announce itself. It just stayed, like something unresolved. Maya noticed the quiet first. Ethan was sitting across from her at the small kitchen table, his hands wrapped around a mug that had gone cold. He hadn't taken a sip in minutes. He used to talk while the kettle boiled, while the toast burned, while life happened. Now he was silent, staring at nothing. "What?" she asked, forcing a smile. "Why are you looking at me like that?" He inhaled, slow and deliberate, like he was preparing to dive underwater. "I don't think this is working anymore." The sentence landed between them, heavy and fragile at the same time. Maya laughed, not because it was funny, but because it couldn't be real. "You're tired," she said quickly. "We've both been stressed. Let's not do this today." But Ethan shook his head. Just once. Small. Final. That's the problem. We keep saying today isn't the day, and then weeks pass, months. Maya felt something tighten in her chest. She looked around the kitchen, the chipped blue mug she'd bought him, the plant they kept forgetting to water, the magnet from a city they once promised to move to. This place was full of us. "So what are you saying?" she asked, quieter now. "I'm saying I don't recognize us anymore." The rain grew louder. They didn't shout. That hurt more than if they had. There was no dramatic explosion, no slammed doors, just sentences carefully placed, like they were afraid of breaking something that was already broken. "I still love you," Maya said. "Doesn't that count for something?" Ethan's eyes softened, and that softness almost undid her. "It counts for everything, just not enough." She stood abruptly, chair scraping against the floor. "That doesn't make sense." "It does," he replied. "Love isn't the only thing holding people together. It should be, but sometimes it isn't." She turned away before he could see her cry. The hallway mirror caught her reflection, messy hair, tired eyes, a person who had been trying too hard for too long. "Since when?" she asked. "Since when did you feel this way?" Ethan hesitated. That hesitation was an answer. "A while," he admitted. Maya swallowed. "And you didn't tell me?" "I didn't want to hurt you." She laughed again, sharper this time. "Congratulations, you saved it all for today." They sat back down eventually, because breakups are exhausting, and standing felt impossible. Time stretched oddly. 5 minutes felt like an hour felt like a breath. "Do you remember," Maya said suddenly, "the night we stayed up until 4 a.m. talking about everything and nothing?" Ethan smiled despite himself. "You cried about a movie you hadn't even watched. You promised we'd always talk like that." "I know. So what changed?" Ethan looked down at his hands. "We stopped listening. Somewhere along the way, we started waiting for our turn to speak instead of trying to understand." Maya thought of all the moments she'd brushed past, his quiet sighs, the way he'd stopped reaching for her hand first, how their conversations had become logistics instead of dreams. "I didn't mean to lose you," she whispered. "I didn't mean to leave." That was the cruelest part. Neither of them were villains. There was no betrayal, no secret lover, no single moment to blame. Just two people growing in directions that no longer aligned. The rain finally slowed. "So what happens now?" Maya asked. Ethan exhaled. I think we let each other go." The words echoed in her head. Let go. As if love were something you could simply loosen your grip on. She nodded, even though every part of her screamed no. They packed in silence. Not everything, just the obvious things. His books, his jacket, the toothbrush he always forgot to replace. At the door, Ethan paused. "I'll always be grateful for who I was with you." Maya stepped forward before she could stop herself and hugged him. It was familiar and strange all at once. His heartbeat was the same. That almost made it worse. "Don't disappear," she said into his shoulder. "I won't, not completely." He left and the door clicked shut with a sound so small it felt impossible that it marked the end of something so big. Maya stood there long after, listening to the quiet. That night, she didn't sleep. She lay in bed, scrolling through old photos, rereading messages that once felt ordinary and now felt sacred. She cried, not the loud kind, but the silent kind that seeps into pillows and stays with you. In the weeks that followed, she learned the geography of heartbreak, the grocery aisle to avoid, the song that still hurt, the cafe where they'd planned a future that never happened. Some days were manageable, others felt impossible. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, things shifted. She laughed without guilt, she rearranged the furniture, she stopped checking her phone for messages she knew wouldn't come. One evening, months later, rain tapped against her window again. Maya made herself tea and sat alone at the kitchen table. She didn't feel whole yet, but she felt breathing. And for the first time since that Tuesday, she understood something important. Some love stories don't end because they fail. They end because they taught you everything they were meant to.